What are some deeply unsettling facts that you know? When they finally saved the kids, 6 of them had never been outside or seen sky. The youngest of them, I think a boy around 4, told everybody so happy this was the best day ever, because in the short walk between house and car he could see the moon. He was so freaking happy. Actually 2 of the kids were adopted by him and his wife and lived a normal life. As infants, they were taken upstairs and he pretended the daughter, who was assumed to be a runaway, left the children at their grandparents' doorstep for them to take care of. They grew up like normal kids and were raised by their grandfather plus grandmother, while their mother and siblings lived a few meters away underground. Edit. Speaking about being happy, I remember one comment about those freed kids, that they were completely fascinated by rain as well. So crazy to imagine that. Edit 2. Grammar and clarification. I looked after my dad who had Alzheimer's for 3 years. He couldn't remember who I was or anyone else for that matter. He ended having a fall and when we came to the hospital we were told he wouldn't survive the night. It took 11 days of palliative care before he passed. Worst experience ever. During this time he was unconscious until the day of my birthday when he woke up, opened his eyes and started speaking very quietly. He motioned me over and said hi son and told me he loved me and was proud of me. This was the first time in 3 years that he knew who I was. He then spoke to all the family, his brothers and sisters, mom and my sisters, before spending the day laughing and joking with us all sitting up in bed like before he had this illness. That night he fell asleep and never woke up again and passed a few days later. I was told that this was very normal, but it really opened my eyes to think he had been in there all this time not being able to communicate with us. Update. Wow, thanks for all the upvotes and awards. I have never had this happen to any of my stories on here before. I'll try and reply to all that I can once I get through them all. My dad didn't mention his illness or what it was like living with dementia when he was lucid, but he did tell us lots of stories about his youth that we hadn't heard before. He seemed to remember his whole life like it was just yesterday for that one special day. My only advice for anyone going through having a loved one with dementia/Alzheimer's is to be patient with them and try to remember they may understand everything that's going on but just can't respond. They still love you the same even though they act so different. Big love to you all. Red Heart. My grandma was in a care facility for the last year of her life, due to dementia. My uncle and mom have a bad relationship and were arguing in her room over what needed to be done for her, and she yelled at them in the most conscious manner, "Chuck! Heidi! Stop fighting this instant," and then passed right there. She didn't recognize any of us for weeks before this. Good to know why that happened. Those are the most mom last words ever. I work in a hospital on many different wards as the equivalent of a carer, I guess, so I've looked after many people at the end of their lives, many with dementia and lots without. It's extremely common knowledge with staff that most end-of-life patients appear to get a bit better before passing away. It's so heartbreaking to tell relatives/visitors that no, they're likely not making a miraculous recovery and they should probably say their goodbyes whilst the person is a bit more lucid. What's even worse is the number of people I've sat with and held their hand whilst they're in this slightly more lucid state. Truly brings me to tears when I have to answer where they are and where their family is. Thankfully I've never had someone pass on my shift whilst the family is still traveling in. You get pretty good at recognizing when someone is in their last hours. People with dementia just forget how to eat one day. They forget how to swallow. We don't know if they feel starvation or pain, because they're too far gone. My brother works in a dementia care facility, and they know that a patient is gonna die soon when they eventually refuse food. And we don't euthanize them. They just starve to death. And they never tell the families that. Edit. I'm so sorry to those that have lost loved ones to dementia. It's a really cruel and heartless way to die. My grandpa just died this way and it was upsetting to me that they just let him starve and waste away. I'm glad that at least with our pets we can humanly euthanize them before they get that bad. I'm not sure about the specifics of dementia, but it's very normal for people to stop eating when they're about to die. They're not starving, their body is just shutting down. They don't need fuel when their system is powering down, and trying to get them to eat can lead to bad internal pain from ingested food just being in the body unprocessed. So, I wouldn't frame it as they let him starve and waste away. His body was simply shutting down like many bodies do, regardless of dementia. The symptoms for a heart attack can be a lot milder than what is shown in movies or TV shows. I have seen people coming in with some discomfort and then passing due to a massive infarction when we did the angiogram. Edit. This blew up over the past couple days. I didn't have time to really look through all the comments, but to all those that have lost a loved one, I'm really sorry for your loss. I guess the one piece of advice I would like to give is to really look after yourselves, keep your cholesterol levels and blood pressure in check. Lastly, quit smoking if you already haven't done so.